Welcome to the Hub of Vision Show, your go-to podcast for the most influential books from the greatest minds in business. We're talking marketing, influence, productivity hacks, sales, and more, all to help you accelerate your vision. Get ready for insights and strategies that drive success. You're tuned in to the Hub of Vision Show, where your business vision takes off now.
Okay, so we're going to dive into something that you see every single day, probably without even realizing it. Social proof.
Interesting topic.
Like when you see a long line outside a restaurant, what's your first thought?
Oh, must be good, right?
Exactly.
If everyone's waiting.
It must be good if everybody's waiting, right?
Yeah.
Or how about those online reviews, you
Yeah.
know? You're looking at a product online
Mm-hmm.
and you hesitate to buy it until you see like a ton of 5-star ratings. It's like our brains are wired to follow the crowd. Why is that?
Well, it's fascinating how our brains take shortcuts like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're constantly bombarded with information.
Right.
And so in uncertain situations, it's just efficient
Right.
to look to others for cues on how to act.
Sure,
Right.
sure. So it's just efficiency. It's
Yeah.
not just about efficiency, right?
Right.
I mean, sometimes this follow the leader instinct can lead us down some pretty strange paths. Like think of a canned laughter. Robert Cialdini uses that as a prime example in his book Influence, and it still blows my mind
Mm-hmm.
how effective that is. I know it's fake, everyone knows it's fake, and yet it still works.
It's really amazing. It really highlights just how deeply ingrained this tendency is.
Right.
Even when we're aware of the manipulation, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're social creatures at our core,
Mm-hmm.
and that drive to conform is powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You're in a room, everyone around you bursts out laughing.
Yeah.
Your brain instantly thinks, something must be funny.
Better laugh along just in case.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, canned laughter might be annoying, but it's generally harmless.
Generally harmless, yeah.
But this whole social proof thing gets a lot more serious when you think about how it plays out in, well, life or death situations.
Absolutely. The bystander effect is a chilling example
Yeah,
of how social proof can have tragic consequences.
absolutely. The story of Kitty Genevieve's always sends chills down my spine.
Oh, yeah.
38 witnesses, and not a single one called for help. It seems unthinkable.
It's hard to grasp, I know. And this is where those nuances of social proof really come into play.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kitty Genevieve's case tragically demonstrates not just the bystander effect, but also the concepts of pluralistic ignorance and diffusion of responsibility.
Oh, okay. Let's unpack those, because I think these are dynamics we've all experienced in some form.
We have, yeah. So pluralistic ignorance is that feeling of, if no one else is reacting, there must not be a problem.
Right.
We assume
Yeah.
the group knows something we don't, so we hesitate to act.
Gotcha.
And then diffusion of responsibility,
Hmm.
right? The more people are present, the less personally responsible any individual feels.
So it becomes this warped logic of, well, someone else will call 911. It doesn't have to be me.
Unfortunately, yes.
Wow.
And that assumption can be fatal. But the fascinating thing is, just being aware of these tendencies can make a difference.
Right.
Recognizing that our instincts might be leading us astray is the first step to breaking free.
Okay, so next time I see a suspicious situation,
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for someone else to react. I'm trusting my gut.
There you go.
I'm taking action. Okay, but shifting gears a bit. Cialdini doesn't just focus on the dark side of social proof, right?
No, not at all.
He also talks about how this principle can be a powerful tool for good.
It can. Absolutely. I mean, we've been focusing on the potential pitfalls, but understanding social proof can also make us more effective communicators.
Yeah.
And even help us make more informed decisions.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the power of this force
Yeah.
and learning how to harness it responsibly.
And I think that's where things get really interesting, especially for anyone in marketing, sales, entrepreneurship.
Right.
I mean, because let's face it, social proof is basically your secret weapon, right?
I mean, think about it.
Hmm.
Testimonials, online reviews, user-generated content, influencer marketing. It's all about leveraging the experiences of others to build trust and credibility.
It's like saying, hey, look at all these happy people. They love what we're doing. You should too. And I hate to admit it, but it totally works on me.
Of course, because that desire to fit in, to make the right choice, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And when we're uncertain, we naturally look to others for guidance.
Okay, so on one hand, we've got these tragic examples like the Kitty Genevieve's case, but then we also see how social proof can be used to, promote amazing causes or build successful businesses. It seems like this one principle can swing both ways pretty dramatically.
It really can, and that's why understand the psychology behind it is crucial. Because once you see how it works,
Yeah.
you can start to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You can start to question those gut reactions, make choices that are truly aligned with your values and goals.
So we've talked about canned laughter, the bystander effect, and how businesses use social proof. But Cialdini also talks about this Werther effect, which sounds pretty intense.
It is. The Werther effect refers to the phenomenon where publicized suicides can actually lead to a spike in similar incidents,
Oh.
particularly among people who identify with the victim.
So hold on. Just hearing about a suicide
Yeah.
can make someone more likely to.
More likely to do the same.
That's unsettling.
It's a disturbing illustration of how social cues can influence even our most extreme behaviors, especially when we see ourselves reflected in the person involved.
Which makes me think about marketing again. Like, it explains why companies use testimonials from people who are similar to their target audience. It's like they're tapping into that same, if they can do it, I can too, mentality.
Exactly. Whether it's a product, a service, or even a dangerous behavior, we're more likely to be influenced by someone we see as similar to ourselves.
Okay, so we've covered laugh tracks, murder witnesses, copycat suicides, and this is just scratching the surface of social proof.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
But before we get too carried away, there's one more example we need to talk about, Jonestown.
Right. Jonestown.
Yeah.
A chilling reminder of what can happen when social proof goes unchecked, particularly in extreme or isolated environments.
Over 900 people died in a mass suicide. How does that fit in with social proof?
It's an extreme case, of course, but it highlights the dangers of blindly following the crowd without critical thinking. In a situation like Jonestown, where fear and uncertainty were rampant, people looked to each other for cues on how to behave.
So in a way, they were all seeking social proof.
They were.
But everyone was looking to the wrong sources. It's like they were all caught in a feedback loop of bad decisions.
Tragically, yes. And it underscores the importance of independent thinking and seeking out diverse perspectives, especially in high-stakes situations. Don't just assume the group knows best.
That's a powerful point. We all need to be aware of the potential for manipulation, whether it's in a cult, a marketing campaign, or even just our everyday interactions.
You're absolutely right.
So what does this all mean for someone who's, say, trying to launch a new business or just trying to be more persuasive in their daily life? Where do we go from here? Well, we'll be discussing that and more in part 2 of this deep dive.
We just finished talking about some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I know. Cults, mass suicides, the dark side of social proof. It's a lot to process.
It is. But I think it's important to remember that understanding these darker examples can actually help us navigate the more everyday uses of social proof. Like, how do we avoid getting tricked by those, marketing tactics or falling for trends that might not be right for us?
You're absolutely right. Awareness is key. Start by simply paying attention to how social proof is being used all around you. Those online reviews, the influencer recommendations, the limited time offers.
Right.
Are they genuine? Or are they designed to nudge you in a specific direction?
So it's like becoming a social proof detective.
Exactly.
Like that influencer raving about a new skincare line. I need to ask myself, have they actually used this, or is this just a paid sponsorship?
Precisely. Look for authentic reviews.
Yeah.
Ideally from people who are similar to you and whose opinions you trust.
Right.
And be wary of anything that feels too slick or staged.
Okay.
Sometimes the absence of social proof can be just as telling.
Oh, interesting.
If a product or service has very few reviews or mentions,
Yeah.
that could be a red flag.
Oh, that's a good point. So it's not just about looking for the positive social proof.
Right.
But also noticing when it's suspiciously missing.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's about gathering information from multiple sources
Yeah.
and making informed decisions.
This is making me realize how often I rely on social proof without even thinking about it. Like, I'm totally guilty of judging a book by its Amazon reviews, which, okay, reviews can be helpful, but I need to be more discerning.
And that's a perfect example of healthy social proof consumption.
Okay.
Reviews can be valuable, but it's about balancing them with your own judgment and research.
Okay. So we've talked about how to be smart consumers of social proof, but what about the flip side? How can we use this knowledge ethically to be more persuasive ourselves?
This is where things get really interesting. Whether you're in marketing, sales, leadership,
Right.
or even just trying to win an argument with a friend, understanding social proof can give you an edge.
So instead of just saying, this is a great idea, I should be saying, look at all these other people who agree with me.
You're catching on. Let the social proof do the heavy lifting. If you're launching a new product, showcase those early positive reviews.
Right.
Share user-generated content on social media to build excitement. Show that people are already enjoying what you offer.
So like reposting photos of people using your product or sharing their positive experiences.
Exactly. It helps potential customers visualize themselves using your product.
Right.
Creates that sense of, well, if everyone else loves it, maybe I will too.
What about those as seen on badges?
Ah, yes.
Do those actually work, or are those just marketing fluff?
They can be quite effective.
Yeah.
Especially if the publication or media outlet aligns with your target audience.
Okay.
Being featured in a trusted source adds instant credibility. Social proof.
Okay. So we've talked about showcasing positive reviews, user-generated content, testimonials, media mentions. What about just using numbers? Like if you have thousands of happy customers, can you just shout that from the rooftops?
Absolutely. Numbers can be very persuasive, but even if you're just starting out, don't worry. You can still leverage social proof by highlighting early wins, positive feedback from your first customers, collaborations with influencers in your niche.
So even if you don't have a huge following yet, you can still find ways to build that sense of social proof gradually.
Exactly. It's about building that momentum brick by brick.
Okay. This is all super helpful, but we do need to address the elephant in the room here. What about those situations where social proof is clearly being used to manipulate people? Like those multi-level marketing schemes where everyone's posting about how much money they're making, and it all seems way too good to be true.
You're right. That's a classic example of social proof being used unethically,
Yeah.
preying on people's desires for financial freedom and community.
So how do we avoid falling for those traps? How do we know when social proof is genuine versus manufactured?
That's where critical thinking and independent research become crucial. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
Look beyond the flashy testimonials and seek out information from sources that aren't directly affiliated with the company.
So don't just take their word for it. Do your own homework.
Right.
Read reviews from unbiased sources. Trust your gut if something feels off.
Exactly. True social proof should stem from genuine satisfaction, positive experiences, not from hype or pressure.
This has been a whirlwind tour of the world of social proof. From the psychology behind it to the ways it can be used for both good and bad. I'm definitely feeling a lot more aware of this invisible force shaping our decisions.
And that's the first step to harnessing its power responsibly.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Everything from those sneaky marketing tactics to how we can use social proof to become more persuasive in our own lives. But we're not quite done yet. In part 3 of this deep dive, we're going to get even more specific. We'll explore real-world examples of social proof in action, and I'll share some practical tips on how you can use this knowledge to achieve your goals. All right, so we've talked a lot about social proof. We know it's everywhere, it's powerful, it can be used for good or for, less than good.
Definitely.
But I really want to see it in action. Like, can we get some specific real-world examples of how social proof is working around us all the time? I'm ready to have my mind blown. Hit me with some social proof in action.
Okay, how about this? Think about those bestseller lists you see everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Amazon, New York Times bestseller list.
Especially when I'm browsing for a new book.
Yeah.
Seeing that little bestseller tag makes it seem so much more appealing.
They're a brilliant example of social proof in action. That little label instantly tells you that a book is popular, in demand, worth reading.
It's like my brain is saying, well, if everyone else is reading it, it can't be bad.
Exactly. And it plays into our fear of missing out, too.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to be the only ones who haven't read the book everyone's talking about.
Yeah, I better jump on this bandwagon before it's too late. Okay, so that's like the physical world. What about online? Where do we see social proof popping up in the digital world?
Have you ever noticed those little pop-up notifications on websites?
Oh, yeah.
Like, someone in California just purchased this item, or 50 people are currently viewing this product.
Uh-huh. Those are everywhere. I always thought they were kind of cheesy.
Yeah?
But now I'm starting to see them in a whole new light.
Yeah.
Like, do those actually work? Do they actually influence people?
They do. They tap into our desire for social validation.
Yeah.
Seeing that other people are interested in a product makes it seem more desirable, even if it's just a subconscious nudge.
Right.
It's like that feeling of, if everyone else is buying it, I better not miss out.
It's like herd mentality almost. Like, oh, everyone's running that way. I should go too.
Yeah, exactly. And they often create a sense of urgency, too.
Right.
It's like, oh, no, this popular item is selling out fast. I better act quickly.
Oh, give me another one. Give me another example. I'm starting to see social proof everywhere now. It's like a secret code has been unlocked.
Think about those Join the Movement campaigns you see all over social media.
You mean like those hashtag campaigns where everyone's posting a photo or video doing a specific thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are so powerful because they tap into our innate desire to belong.
Right.
People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And seeing others participate can be incredibly motivating.
Oh, yeah.
It's like social proof on steroids.
I've definitely been sucked into a few of those campaigns myself.
Yeah, we all have.
It's amazing how contagious that sense of community can be. Okay, what about something a little more offline? Can you give me an example of how social proof works in the real world, like beyond the internet?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Think about charity events.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that they often announce how much money they've already raised
Yeah.
before asking for donations?
I always wondered about that. Why wouldn't they just like focus on the need and ask for help?
Because starting with the amount already raised is social proof at its finest.
Oh, okay.
By showcasing that others have already given, they're creating a sense of momentum and encouraging more people to contribute.
Oh, it's like saying, look, all these people are already on board and you should be too. It's subtle, but it works.
It works. It creates that sense of, I don't want to be left out. I want to be a part of this. It's that same drive that makes us choose the crowded restaurant or the book with hundreds of 5-star reviews.
This is incredible. I'm starting to see social proof everywhere. But knowing about this hidden force, this invisible hand guiding our decisions, can we actually use it to our advantage in a way that feels good and ethical?
Absolutely. By understanding the principles of social proof, we can become more effective communicators, build genuine trust, and even inspire positive change.
So it's not just about, selling more products. It's about connecting with people on a deeper level, creating a sense of shared purpose.
Exactly. Whether you're building a business, advocating for a cause, or just trying to persuade a friend to see your point of view, social proof can be a powerful tool. The key is to use it authentically and responsibly.
So to wrap this all up, what's the one thing you want listeners to remember about the power of social proof?
Be conscious, be aware. Notice how it's being used all around you, question those gut reactions, do your research, and make informed decisions that are aligned with your values and your goals.
It's like we've been given this secret decoder ring for the human psyche. Now we can see the world and our choices with a whole new level of clarity.
And hopefully that awareness empowers us to make choices that are not only in our best interest, but also contribute to a more positive and ethical world.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of social proof, and I think we've all learned a lot about ourselves and the forces that shape our decisions. Thanks for joining us.
I hope you're leaving with some powerful takeaways to fuel your success. But don't stop here. Take it to the next level. For more insights, head over to hubofvision.com/podcast, where you'll find illustrations and infographics designed to impact your brain in a whole new way. Visualize your success and absorb these strategies deeper to become the excelling entrepreneur you're meant to be. Visit hubofvision.com/podcast and level up your vision today.